Welcome to Relocating to Disney. Now, if you've followed this for a while, you know that we had decided to build a house through KB Homes. And all of a sudden, bam, we aren't building a house, we're buying a house. Now, I said I would explain what happened, so here it is. When we went to Florida in November of 2020, we didn't find any existing houses we liked. And due to our timeline, we decided building would be our best option. So after looking at a lot of builders, in December, we decided to go with KB Homes. And then we learned KB Homes didn't have approval from the town to start building homes in the neighborhood. When they finally did receive their approval, we were told we would be placed on a waiting list. Now, during both of these occurrences, the cost of the house kept going up significantly. To control these rising costs, we decided to pick a smaller home, but not even picking a smaller home helped because KB kept raising the price of everything. In January, a beautiful house hit the market. It was cheaper than what we were paying for KB, and we were shocked by how much house you could get for that money. We had no intention of buying that house, but it was an eye-opener. We were severely overpaying for the KB house. KB, as with all new builders, have this thing where you lock in your price. Then, during the next 8 months it takes to build your house, KB will keep raising the prices on everybody else, but your price is locked in. And by raising the prices on everybody else, they are increasing your equity. But it's a fake equity. It isn't real. It's a bubble equity. I mean, the salesperson told us, hey, look at all the equity you've built up. But they hadn't even broke ground on a house. How can you have equity on a house that hasn't even been built yet? But that's the game. It's not real equity. Now, for some people, you build the house, you turn around, you sell it right away, and make some money. Maybe. But really, it's not real equity. It's a bubble. And those bubbles are going to pop, and that equity is going to go away. Because the equity is not based on anything. Regardless, you are justified to pay more for a newly built house because you're going to be getting so much more equity. Well, February 2021 came along, and at this point we're now at the top of our budget for this KB house. We're probably a little bit over. We're so deep into the KB cost that we have to steal from our swimming pool budget that we set aside to build our pool. You know, a pool, a significant item we wanted in this Florida house. It looked like we weren't even going to be able to afford a pool. And even if we could, it's taking so long to build pools. They're so backlogged, we wouldn't get a pool until sometime in 2022. So now here it is. It's late February, and KB hasn't started building a single house in the development. And we're like somewhere down on the list of having our house started. Well, we moved to Florida in July. And at first they said, yeah, we can have your house done in July. And then it was, it's going to be August. And then it was, it's going to be September. The delay between when we get there and when we get the house, we have to rent. And that renting is expensive. It's a significant cost. I mean, renting a house costs a lot more than buying a house and paying a mortgage. So, you know, at the start it was, hey, you're going to rent a house for a couple of weeks, you're going to rent it for a month, you're going to rent it for 2 months, you're going to rent it for 3 months, and this just seemed to keep going and going and going. Meanwhile, no houses are being built. No houses in that development are being built. We took a trip to Florida in February, and we visited the job site, and we saw that nothing was happening. And here it is, late February, and we started doubting even that September was even going to be possible. There were some other concerns we had when we visited that job site. Now, we had seen drawn maps and aerial views of the lot that we had picked, and it looked nice. It was, in my opinion, the best lot in the neighborhood. But when we visited the job site and we walked the lot, we found a problem. There was a berm between our backyard and the neighbors behind us. Now, that berm was taking up a significant amount of our backyard. Now, yeah, it's great to have a berm there because it gives you a little bit of privacy, right? But not when it's taking up a lot of your backyard. So what it was going to require us to do is we were going to have to dig out that berm and put in a retaining wall in order to fully use our entire backyard. Now, that was just going to further eat into our pool budget. On top of that, we went and we visited the KB Design Center, and we saw just how basic the model was. Now, KB is a little bit different than other places. They set you off with a really base model, and then you only pay for the items you really want. So you're not forced to buy what would be upgrades that you really don't care about. The problem is that base model is pretty base. We walked into the KB Design Center expecting some things to be basic, and we were ready to accept that. And we had a budget set aside to upgrade a few things that we really wanted. But after visiting the design center, it became clear we needed to double our design center budget. Again, further chipping away our pool budget. Now, I got to tell you, we do a ton of research. A lot of people do tons of research on these kinds of things, and we're one of them. We're just not walking in with blinders on. We know that this is going to be some basic things. And they even surprised us with how basic the basic was. Okay? It was basic. And you have to do the minimal amount of upgrades or else it's crap. So let's continue on, because there were more problems. We would never have seen this problem if we didn't visit the job site. Our backyard would face the north. When I stood in what would be the backyard and I looked north, I saw a giant radio tower with a strobing, blinking light on the top. Now, that light would be strobing into our bedroom windows. And it was going to be ever present whenever we used our backyard. And it wasn't just at night. You could see this thing strobing all day long. So that radio tower was bad. But that's not the end of it. After we selected this community and we committed to this community, we learned that there was a prison about a mile or two up the road. Now, most people said, don't worry about it, not a big deal. But then we read in the news about escaped prisoners stealing cars and crashing them. Like, it's a regular thing. Well, when we were at that job site, standing in what would be the backyard and looking up to the north, next to that blinking radio tower was the prison's water tower. Standing in my backyard, there's the prison's water tower right there. Now, yeah, it might have been a mile or two away, but it was there. It was huge. It was like there. That made me believe that if I were up on the second story, so I had to stand there in the backyard and look up in the sky and imagine being up on the second story, looking to the north, that made me start thinking, I bet I'm going to be seeing the prison off in the distance, not very far off in the distance, out my bedroom window. When you are in Florida and have a home with a view, you're thinking a view of the ocean, a view of the beach, a view of a lake, a view of something beautiful. You are not thinking a view of a prison. We weren't very happy. A smaller house than we had planned. It didn't look like we were going to be able to afford the pool because we had to rob the pool budget. Getting into the house so late, the rising costs, and then a view of a blinking radio tower in a prison. We look at the home real estate pages all the time. And on one of our last days during the February trip, my wife saw a house pop up. It was brand new, popped up. She saw it like it had been there like 2 minutes. 2 hours later, we were touring that house. And 2 hours after that, we placed our offer. The offer was accepted, and we were becoming home buyers. That put us in an awkward position because we had committed to building a new house that we were increasingly becoming very unhappy with. And now we just put an offer on an existing house. We decided to put it in God's hands, and whatever was going to happen was going to happen. If that existing house came through, we would cancel the new home build. And guess what? Looks like that new house is coming through. Now, KB Homes contacted us. I don't know if they got wind of what was happening or maybe they just decided to follow up because we heard nothing from them. Nothing in over a month, probably 6 weeks or so. And then out of the blue, they contact us and they said, hey, we need you to sign an addendum to the contract, some crap like that. It made absolutely no sense. And I told KB Homes, no, I'm not going to sign it. We have an agreement. I've already signed it. This additional is stuff that we've already agreed on. I'm not going to sign it. Well, they came back and they said, well, if you don't sign this, then, the deal's going to close up. Threatening and all this other crap. So I got a hold of the real estate agent and she said, well, have you told them about the house that you bought? And I said, no. And she said, we're far enough into the process of buying this new house. It's probably time to go ahead and let them know that you want to cancel the purchase. So my real estate agent was awesome. She handled everything. She contacted KB Homes, put in all of the information and the cancel request. She was great. There's just one outstanding issue, and we knew this was going to be at risk. We had to put down a $5,000 deposit with KB Homes. And when we put an offer on an existing home, we knew that $5,000 might be at risk. And indeed, it is. And I'll be surprised if we get that refunded. If we do, great. But we knew that was a risk by switching. My wife still holds out thinking that we're going to see that $5,000. But I don't think it's possible. And according to all the contracts that I've read through and everything I've looked at, we're not eligible to get it. So we ended up canceling the new home build. It was fairly painless. Like I said, the real estate agent took care of everything for us. That's the story of how we went from building a new house in Florida to buying a new house in Florida. I hope this was helpful, maybe entertaining. I don't know. But thank you for tuning in and watching this video.